Welcome to the Real Estate Explainer podcast, where we talk about anything and everything real estate. I'm your host, Brian Kixula. Take notes. Today, Tony Javier is going to be talking about using TV commercials to take your real estate investing career to the next level. Hey, Tony, just wanted to say thanks for jumping on the podcast. I am definitely excited to have you on today, really just to cover marketing in real estate, specifically when it comes to generating inbound leads. I think so much of, so many of the clients that I talk to, they're definitely focused on, let's say, outbound marketing. They're dialing for clients, they're going to open houses, they're doing door knocking, really anything that they can do to generate, whether it's a retail transaction where they're working as the real estate agent and helping them buy or sell houses, or as wholesale agents where they're going in and looking for off-market deals. And I think that where your expertise really comes in is generating those inbound leads so you can really focus on what you do so well, which is, sell properties. If you could talk a little bit about, the different, let's say, opportunities that you offer.
Yeah, so there is a big difference between inbound leads and outbound leads, right? So I'll explain that for the audience in case they don't understand that. So outbound leads is what a lot of people do, especially when they're new in the business. That's what I did when I first started. Started in 2001. I would go through the newspaper, call agents, call listing of investors that had properties. So I was reaching out to people to get them to sell to me, right? Now today, outbound channels are door knocking, driving for dollars, texting, cold calling. Again, things where you're reaching out to people and saying, are you looking to sell your property? Those are good things to start with. But the problem with those is that, number one, they take a lot of time. If you do outbound channels, you have to find someone that's looking to sell. Then you have to warm them up to get them to trust you. And then you have to negotiate with them. And then again, that's another trust factor. And there's a big, long process of, getting outbound leads to sell to you.
You're building that trust up front just so you can ask for the business.
100%. Yeah, because you've probably been texted before, you've been called before, like someone trying to buy one of your properties or your house. I think almost everybody that's listening to this has probably received one of those, unless they're lucky enough they haven't been on anybody's list before. So 100%. So when someone texts you or someone, calls you, you don't know who they are. So you're like, who are you? Are you credible? Are you scamming me? I mean, there's this whole process of getting people to even let you come look at their house or even give you an offer. And some of those people just say they want to sell or give me an offer when really they either don't want to sell, or you have to give them like way above what their house is really worth for them to actually sell. So they're just kind of kicking tires.
So it's an evergreen marketing system that you're using, and it really does, hold the test or stand the test of time. And I think one of the things that, you've said a couple of times, and I don't think we mentioned earlier, is that you're not necessarily just a marketing guy. Your primary role isn't just bringing in clients to your TV advertising business. You're an active real estate investor. This is what you do as a full-time job, in addition to creating, this opportunity for other professionals. And I think that that's so key, because a lot of times in our world, we get pulled into guys that are selling postcard services, and they're sales guys for the postcard services. They don't sell real estate. They're not dentists, they're not whatever they're selling postcards for. Same thing with your pay-per-click advertising guys. They're just pay-per-click advertising. I think what makes you so unique and sets you apart is you're actively involved in the real estate business. It's what you do. So sorry to kind of cut you off and go on a tangent, but I think that that's so important when you're talking to somebody who's looking to sell you a service.
No, that's a great point. And, that was the great thing about this, this program is I was able to 12 years ago get on TV. And then before I started helping other people, I had 8 years worth of data to work with, meaning that we tried different shows, we tried different stations, we tried different scripts. So when I started helping other people, I could say, these are the things that I did that worked well. These are the things that didn't work as well. So then we took the things that worked really well, started plugging them in, and then they started doing well for other people on top of that. And then when people started not getting good results, so we've had phenomenal results, but we'd have clients come to us and be like, man, TV's not, performing for us. So as a real estate investor, to your point, I would be able to, as a real estate investor, say, okay, here's how we run our sales team. Here's what we're seeing when leads come in. Show me your data. And then they would be like, either I don't have the data, or they would show me the data and I'd be like, there's something wrong here. Because if you got 90 leads in your first 3 months and you only did one deal, that's typically not a lead problem. That is a sales problem. So we're able to actually dive into their business and say, okay, are you listening to your phone calls? We actually, we started getting really frustrated because when people said they weren't getting good results, we would ask them for their data and they wouldn't have it. They literally would not have it, even though we coach them on, make sure you have a tracking phone number and, you have it in your CRM and all that kind of stuff. So then we started buying the phone numbers for our clients for about a year to year and a half, just so we could get some data. And when someone would come to us and they would say, we're not having good results, we would listen to their phone calls and we'd realize that the ones that weren't getting good results weren't answering their phone. If they were answering their phones, typically their sales agent or whoever's answering the phone didn't sound professional, answered hello, they would not ask the right questions. I mean, there were so many disconnects. Even some of the biggest real estate investors that if I said their name, you would probably know them. Even some of them that I'm like, they're going to absolutely crush it. And they would sometimes have struggles. And then we'd listen to their phone calls and we're like, we know why you're not performing. So it's kind of interesting being on this side of it because, as just a real estate investor before I started helping other clients with their marketing, when people would say something didn't work, I would take it as truth. Someone would say postcards aren't working, or PPC's not working, or whatever's not working. I always take it with a grain of salt now because I feel like I've seen people make every single marketing medium work. And I can tell you now that we work with hundreds of people with their TV commercials and listen to hundreds or probably, maybe even thousands of calls at this point, we can tell that those that are dialed into the sales process are the ones that are doing the best. So they're answering their phone. If they're not answering the phone, they're getting back to someone very quickly. So
when it comes to TV, why do you think TV works so much better than, let's say, some of the other avenues or marketing avenues that are out there?
I mentioned some of the big benefits of TV, right? So there's those. Think about how competitive real estate investing is right now. When I got into the business 20 some years ago, flipping, in fact, when I started telling people that I was flipping properties, at that time there was still that negative connotation that flipping was illegal. I don't know if you remember that when people would say flipping houses, that it was people thought
now
it was
wholesaling.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's wholesaling is a whole nother thing.
It is.
But regardless, now, if you look at your market and if you watch TV, you probably either have never seen anybody on TV in your market, or you've maybe seen 1, 2, maybe 3 people in your market doing TV. There is one market that's super competitive that I know there's like 8 to 10 people, but it's a huge market and, there's just a lot of opportunity in it. But typically when I talk to a client or we talk to clients, they're like, I don't know anybody else doing it, or they might know 1 or 2 people. And it's interesting because someone might go, well, there's 2 other companies doing TV, and are you sure putting me on TV isn't, there's not gonna be too much competition? And if you think about it, most of those markets are anywhere from 500,000 to 1.5 million people. That's a typical DMA of where TV runs. And it's like, if you are one of 3 people running TV in a market of 500,000 people, even if it's 300,000 people, that's 1 person per 100,000 people that are doing TV. Whereas if you look at all the other marketing methods out there, you have dozens and dozens of people sending direct mail. You have dozens and dozens, maybe even hundreds of people that are texting and cold calling. So the chances of you having too much competition with TV commercials is very slim.
Now, the commercials that you're putting out there for real estate investors, what type of commercials are you airing?
Yeah, so they're 30-second commercials. We play with some 15-second commercials over time. We start with 30 seconds though. It's not a lot of time to get information in, but it also is enough time to get information in. What I mean by that is you do only have 30 seconds, so you have to be very precise. So you have to tell them you buy properties, you sell them as is. For us, we don't. Our tagline is we don't charge fees, commissions, and there's no hassle. People get concerned about, do I drive people to a phone number? Do I drive people to website? We know what works well, so we play on that. So basically, it's being able to portray to people what you do, what your benefits are, and what they need to do. Basically, a call to action, and you get all of that within 30 seconds. So when I say you get 500 to 1,000 commercials a month, those are 30-second commercials that play in between shows, and shows that we know that our demographic is watching.
Got it. And then, one of the things that I know people are probably thinking is this can't be affordable. There's no way that it can be affordable to reach that many people. Because if you were to send out 1,000 postcards to, once a month, that's probably going to cost you, I don't know, let's call it $500 per month to send out 1,000 postcards with mailing and printing. Now you're talking about reaching, I think you said, what is it, a demographic of, what was it, 500,000 people?
Yeah, usually most markets are between, 500,000 people to about 1.5.
So compared to the other marketing or advertising methods, is it affordable to advertise on TV? Can your average real estate investor get started in TV marketing?
Yeah, you're asking some unbelievable questions. So I'll give you another stat. If you were to send out 1,000 postcards, it would be about $500, right? 50 cents a postcard. If you were to hit the same people with TV commercials, that cost you $5. They call that CPM. It's cost per thousand, right? So to hit 1,000 people to have 1,000 impressions is 100 times more expensive with postcards than it is for TV. And that's why that's another reason TV is so powerful. If we are 500 to 1,000 commercials a month, I probably should do the numbers on this, but you're hitting like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of impressions. And to be able to do hundreds of thousands of impressions with direct mail, you're spending $50,000 to $100,000 a month, right?
And I think that's a big part of it too, because you're not replacing all of your marketing with, let's say, TV advertising. You're not saying don't send out postcards and don't go on the radio or don't do pay-per-click advertising. I think what you have to do is you really have to do all of them. So you have to do all of them and then figure out which one works the best for you, and then not take away the ones that aren't necessarily working the best. It's just keep them all there, because you want the folks that see you on Facebook to also maybe get a postcard or a mailer from you periodically, and then to also see you on TV. It's just so powerful when you start stacking, the different methods.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, TV is our number one lead source. We do radio commercials as well. We do direct mail. We do Facebook ads. We do pay-per-click on Google. We have a billboard.
So if you're a real estate investor and you're actively looking to acquire properties in the market that you're in, make sure that you can pull the trigger if you've got someone who's on the phone that really does want to sell their property. I just think that it's just such an awesome opportunity that you provide. Before we wrap up, because I just want to keep it under or right around 30 minutes, is what are some of the big success stories that you've seen? Some of the deals that have really changed people's careers.
Yeah. So, I'm in the biz 20 plus years. I invest, I live in San Diego now, but I invest in Wichita, Kansas. That's where I was born and raised, and my team is located. Our spreads are really good. We typically make between $25,000 to $33,000 per deal, which is good for Wichita, Kansas, because our price points aren't super high. I mean, if we buy something and it sells for over $200,000, that's a pretty expensive property. So what I can say is, for us, the deals that we have done that are over $100,000, which, again, for Wichita, Kansas is pretty substantial. All of those deals have been from TV commercials. And it's kind of cool when we get clients on TV, because they tell us the same thing, that their spreads are higher from TV compared to other marketing methods. And I think a lot of it has to do with is they're the only one called typically. And even if they are there's other competition. We've actually had a lot of people sell to us at a cheaper price and they've done it because we're on TV and they know we're credible and that we're going to close. Whereas they kind of get, they get this vibe of other people that like, I don't really know these people as well. I haven't seen them on TV or haven't seen as much of their marketing, things of that nature. This isn't typically for a new investor. I would say a newer investor, it's probably okay. If you're just starting out in the game, it may not be right for you. Although we have had some investors that are new to the game that had like a sales background or sold a business and had business background and things of that nature. But I just love being able to take TV and just help a business get to the next level, whether that's building their credibility, whether that's doubling their business. But it's just a game changer. Like when I got on TV 12 years ago, like, again, just the way people talk to you. And I go into Whole Foods and people would be like, Tony, you're the guy on TV. And they just start conversations with you as if like them. And it's like, sometimes it can be a little annoying, but it's kind of cool at the same time. But you're just building your brand, and the other great thing is you're just building your personal credibility. So if you want to, if you're dealing with other people, whether it's in your business or outside your business, people just treat you differently. So.
Perfect. And then if any of the listeners want to get in touch with you, if they want to get connected with you, what's the best way for them to reach you?
Yeah, so we have this map of the U.S. that we can go into, and we can look at a demographic. So let's say someone's in Macon, Georgia, or Nashville, Tennessee. We can go in there and we can look at the map and say, okay, you're going to be able to hit 500,000 people, million people, about 1.5 million people with your TV commercial. Here's what the ad spend is going to be, and kind of walk you through the whole process. So if someone wants us to do that with them, we'd be more than happy to do that. If you guys go to remtv.com, that stands for Real Estate Masters, remtv.com, you can go on there, fill out a form, book a call, and we can walk you through the process and see how we can help you amplify your marketing and take it to the next level.
Cool. Well, hey, Tony, thank you for jumping on the podcast today, and I'm sure we will talk very soon. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Brian. Thanks for having me.
If you'd like to get connected with today's guest, log on to realestateexplainer.com and click the Get Connected button on the homepage.